All right, so now without further ado, child, let's get into this mess. So the homosexuals and the trans girls are fighting on social media in regards of the whole they them pronoun debate. I think I was trying to remember how the hell did this start. All I remember was that Funky Dineva did a video. I think he was on his live or whatever the case was. He was talking about they're trying to erase the T from the LGBT community, which I ain't hear nothing about that. They trying to erase trans people. But then again, I guess what he was talking about was the current administration and how they're not allowed, like if you got an X on your passport, whatever the case is, you can't travel, and there's a bunch of things. They're dismantling a lot of things within the LGBT community, including aid and health and all the other stuff. Like the stuff is just it's just a mess politically. So if you really, I think everybody who's from a marginalized community needs to pay attention because we're all being affected. So Funky went and did this little video. Shout out to Gay Magazine because they put all these videos and stuff together. I have clips from Gay Magazine. I also have Angelica Ross, who y'all know played Candy. Speaking since we was talking about Candy earlier, we was talking about Candy Muse. Now we talking about Candy. What was her last name on that show? Evangelista. And then she went with a different name, Ferocity. So yeah, better known as Candy Ferocity. Over on Pose has a show or whatever that she has on YouTube. I have that whole clip because I definitely want to play that. So apparently I think in the comments she went and said, oh, you could tag me into the whole thing with Funky too. But she more or less went in on Craig over on Fag Talk. Now, for those of you who don't know who Craig is Craig Stewart, who does the show, as I said, Fag Talk with T.S. Madison. And Angelica explains that, yeah, because T.S. Madison got on the line and did a live also and was somehow, y'all gonna take care of who? Because apparently Angelica said, I'll take care of it over something that went on. Because I think what happened was there was a girl that went in on Maddie over the fact that she said, I sent you some information, whatever the case was, you never responded. So the girl went in on Madison, and Madison basically, you know what Maddie does. When y'all come at her, she's going to eat you up. And I think Angelica was like, you don't need to go so hard on because you want to know something, her situation or whatever she's dealing with. Because it was about, oh, you live in a janky hotel room and all this other stuff. And I think what Angelica was saying was like, girl, you been there once. Like you was a girl that was out in these streets being a hoe, making, sucking dick for money and all this other stuff before you got to where you was today. And we know that Maddie doesn't shy away from her past and things of that nature. However, what I think what Angelica was saying was have some kind of empathy and show some kind of support for other people who are way worse off than you are. Because remember, you were there once and you can't read them harder than their situation that they're currently in. Their situation might be way worse than you reading them. That only makes it, I think that probably be the final nail in the coffin. And I think we'd be so quick to jump into, let me read this person down to the floor. Let me scalp them. Because trust and believe, I get that way too. Like if somebody comes at me, I'll be ready to cuss they behind out. But then I have to also take a beat and realize, you know what? I can't be out here trying to swing on everybody. I cannot be so fearful in the color purple. I do not want to be all my life I had to fight. Like I don't want to be in that moment of like I always got to be out here windmilling on people. So when people come for me in the comments and make their little whatever, I just go and I block their ass. I'm like, I don't have time to give the energy. I don't have time to be out here because you want a reaction and I'm not giving it to you. So I'm like, if you have a problem with whatever I post in my content or you try to compare me to other people or try to, say all kinds of little shit that pisses, that might sting a little bit. It's like, I'm not engaging. You're getting the block button. You ain't ever got to worry about what I'm doing over here. So yeah, so Funky basically was talking about how the removal of trans people within the acronym LGBT. And there were people that were saying that yes, trans people should be separate from the rest of the community, as in the gays, the lesbians, and the bisexuals. Which I don't agree with that, because number one, and I feel like a lot of y'all seem to forget this, especially a lot of you homosexuals. If it wasn't for the T in LGBT, y'all would not be walking around here having all the rights that you have. You wouldn't be able to suck dick the way that y'all be out here having. You wouldn't be able to take multiple dicks up your ass the way a lot of y'all have been taking. So I don't understand why a lot of y'all be out here trying to dismiss trans people when if it wasn't for Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera and the Stonewall era where a trans woman threw a brick through that damn window and we had the Stonewall riots, a lot of y'all would not have the rights that y'all have today. So I'm tired of people consistently dismissing trans people like they don't play a crucial role in the movement regarding our civil rights as LGBT or as queer people. So I do have that clip of what he had to say so that way y'all can hear it. It's because I always gotta lay down the foundation before I play the clips. And then we'll come back and talk. Please hold.
So y'all, there is a new wave of energy that is going on within the LGBTQ plus IA community that got me feeling a little uncomfortable, and it's the annexation of the T and everything else after LGB. I've been seeing a lot of content lately, lesbians, bi, and gay people proclaiming, I'm an old school gay. All I want is marriage equality, be able to adopt kids, equal protection under the government, right to marry, insurance, anti-discrimination, and to be left alone. Don't lump me in with the trans QIA plus when those people over there want gender fluidity, pronoun changing, and all these other radical things. So y'all, there is and so for me, I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm an old school gay too. You know what I'm saying? There are moments where I feel like the younger LGBTQ plus community has been doing way too much and has been trying to take society way too fast. But then again, there are people that can say that's ignorant. You know what I'm saying? That progress is a good thing. I don't really know how to feel about all of that. But here is what I do know I feel succinctly. I don't know if I can get down with members of the LGBTQ plus community being so quick to annex the TQIA plus people. I just don't know that I'm behind that. I just don't know that I'm behind that. It's giving pick me energy. It's giving hey. And so for me, hey, dominant society, I'm the type of gay person that can fit in with y'all and not cause any anxiety or strife. So pick me and I'm going to help y'all turn against the rest. Okay. For the record, and I may catch some flack for this, for the record, out of my mouth, and I stand 10 toes down on this. I do think that there are certain pockets of trans people, certain pockets of gay, lesbian, liberals, progressives, these younger generation. I do think that there are certain pockets of them that are doing way too much. I do. And I'm not going to spend the time right now to define what way too much is. But I will say, y'all kind of fucked it up for all of us when y'all was doubling down and tripling down on this pronoun bullshit. Okay.
Wait, hold on. First of all, you can't sit up here and say that you're not going to break it down, but then you're going to make the accusation. If you're going to put the allegation out there and say that I'm not going to break it down, then don't go there and say that people who come up with pronouns or want to be respected by their pronouns, which pronouns have always been a thing. They've always, like, non-binary people is not something, or non-binary or gender non-conforming, that is not something that just was created yesterday. They've always been non-binary people. Hello, you've never heard of two-spirited? Like, and then I remember hearing the other day, somebody was surprised by this whole two-spirited thing. I don't remember where I heard that from, but I'm like, where the fuck have you been? First of all, they've always been in indigenous communities, two-spirited people. So this is nothing new. Just because y'all are becoming aware of it does not make it new.
Okay. That really is what got them folks over there all upset. All right. Hey, dominant society. They was moderately upset when y'all started all this shit with these pronouns and these, all the genders don't. You kind of did a little too much and fucked it up for everybody. However, I still love you. I still support you. And I still am going to rally behind you and protect you. But for the other members of the LGB, I just don't know that it's right, despite the fact that I feel like some of the TQIA plus has been doing too much. I just don't think the right move is for the LG and the B to separate from the TQIA plus. I just don't think that's the right move.
But he has to really feel. Well, I think what he really needs to realize is that, yeah, by you saying that they doing too much, that is the exact reason why they want to separate from the trans, because they feel like with the trans people, with all these eyes on them being pretty much used as a scapegoat by the Republican Party, while you have politicians out there. First of all, the bigger fish to fry is the fact that these politicians are using Mexicans and trans people as a scapegoat for what they're doing to our government, just fully dismantling our government. But y'all want to be focused on pronouns and this, that, and the other. All people who are part of the community want is the fact that y'all should come and just respect. If I want to be called they, them, if I want to be she, her, he, him, he, they, if those are my pronouns, I'm telling you what my pronouns are and just respect it. That's all they're saying. So when you saying they doing too much, you need to be specific as to who is the too much coming from. Because I feel like at times, the ones that was really out here being hell of aggressive in regards to what was going on was white trans people. That's who was the ones that was out here doing it. The reality is the black trans was getting astray because it's easier to go after them, but it was the white ones that was doing it, that was doing too much and being all extra with a lot of the things and stuff that was going on. So if we're going to talk about it, that should be the conversation. It wasn't necessarily like you're generalizing a whole group of people, but it was the white homosexual or the white LGBTs that was out here doing the extra shit. Because those are the ones I was noticing that was doing all that and was getting a lot of traction because because at the end of the day, white people get to be white. So their stories and their things and what they're coming up with and what they're doing is going to get way more traction over what the black trans is doing. So you can't say you're going to fully support somebody, but then you talking about, oh, they doing too much. Because I need to understand, you need to define what that too much is or what that too far is. Because here's the thing, y'all want the same rights. Y'all want to fall in line with heteronormative way of living. I want to be able to get married. I want to be able, because well, basically that means you want to reap the same benefits that straight people get being married. But quiet as it's kept, straight people ain't all that happy being married anyway. What's marriage all? Marriage ain't all that is cracked up to be. So that's what you want. You want to be afforded the same amenities that your heterosexual counterparts get to take advantage of. So that's what y'all need to call it out as what that is. It ain't got to necessarily do with, oh, well, because we want equality in other places that we messed it up for y'all. That, because gender identity ain't got shit to do with sex. It's two different things. Sexuality and gender identity is not the same thing. So I feel like, and then I'm sick and tired of y'all talking about this old school gay. What the fuck does that even mean? What is an old school gay? Because last time I checked, all the old school gays died in the AIDS Holocaust back in the 80s. So what old school gay are you talking about? You meaning that y'all were set in a certain way of a belief? Because last time I checked, we didn't really have a lot of representation out here in these streets. It's been what, since how long has marriage equality been around? Like a decade? Like all this stuff still with the gay community getting equal rights and all stuff, this is still brand new. I think it happened during the Obama administration. So that was like, yeah, about a decade ago. So a lot of the stuff that's going on with our community that we're still getting little by little rights and all this other stuff, this is still fresh. This is still relatively new. And it sounds like y'all want the crumbs. Y'all just have it with little crumbs that y'all getting. So you can't sit about here and say somebody's ruining for y'all because they want equal rights as well. Trans people should have just as much equal rights as the gays. But that's always been the reality when it comes to gays versus trans. A lot of these cisgendered homosexuals run around here thinking, yeah, we got our shit, so we're better than. Fuck those people over there. It's no different. And when you said pick me energy, that's exactly what it is. When you get certain Latinos where it's like they want that assimilation of whiteness, hence why they voted for Trump. They'll vote against their own self-interest so they could be in close proximity of those people over there. They still wouldn't spit on your ass if you was on fire. So yeah, there were some people in the comments, and then we'll get to the thing about Craig in a second. But it's always like I got to dismantle a little thing. So someone said the whole y'all doing too much mindset that's deeply rooted in intergenerational trauma and respectability politics, especially in Black queer communities. We were taught that survival meant shrinking ourselves, and that's exactly what it is. It's like I got to dim my light so that way we can, if I just put my head down and dim my light just enough, then they'll be like, okay, we'll give y'all a little something, something, so y'all can go away and leave us the hell alone. That's what it is. Like, I'm not dimming my light. I'm not putting my head down. I'm not hiding who I am. So that way we can get equality. Because is that really equality? If you got to dim who you are as a person? It's not. So assimilation, as I stated before, won't save us. It didn't work for our elders, and it won't work now. Wanting to separate the T from the LGBT isn't old school. It's regressive. It mirrors the same proximity to mainstream thinking that has always left the most marginalized behind, especially trans folks, disabled queers, black femmes, and anyone who doesn't fit nearly into a binary or a box. That's not pride. That's pick-me politics, which is literally what Dineva seemed like he flip-flopped on. Like, you were saying one thing, but you were contradicting yourself in what you're talking about. It is pick me behavior, but what you're saying is also pick me politics. So the goal was never to go along to get along. The goal is full autonomy, liberation, and basic decency for everybody, not just the ones who've been deemed respectable enough by systems that were never built for us. If having a few rights means you're ready to throw the rest of us under the bus, that's not progress. That's just colonial survival rebranded as tradition. So shout out to the unfucked therapist. That's who wrote that. So shout out to you, because you was on point with your commentary. So I'm gonna definitely just leave it at that with that. So now let's move on to Craig. So Angelica Ross went over on her podcast over on YouTube, and if you want to look her up, it's at Miss Ross. You could definitely look that up at her show, and I have the clip and everything here. So apparently Angelica did a video on her page where she was talking about Craig and talking about she's shaking the table, that Craig apparently, I guess she was, and people say, why are you bringing up old footage or old video or something? Because it apparently said something disrespectful, excuse me, back in the day in regards to like they, them pronouns. I don't like the fact that y'all keep coming up with new stuff. So therefore, I'm not going to use a they, them pronoun. I'm going to just call you by your name. So basically, he's saying that it's easier for me. And in the beginning, I was kind of with him on it, because I was like, you know what? I don't want to make the mistake of calling someone by the wrong pronoun, because a lot of times what happens is when you call somebody by the wrong pronoun, if I go and say he instead of she, or they instead of he, or whatever or whatever pronoun you want to go by, y'all be ready to rip people's head off. It's like, bitch, you need to relax. Number one, I don't need all that aggression. Which is why I think a lot of times I'm like, for me, the safe bet would be to call you by your name. But then now thinking about it and how all this was breaking down, to me, I feel like it's more disrespectful. And it's because if you could take the time and the energy to have to constantly remind yourself to just say this person's name, then you could put that same time and energy into remembering that person's pronoun. So that's the way I kind of wrap my head around that. So yeah, I do have that clip of Angelica talking. So we'll come back, and what they were basically saying, so shout out to Gay Magazine for this. They said, following Funky Dineva's recent video of denouncing the removal of the T in LGBT, Angelica Ross is calling out both Dineva and Fag Talk host Craig the Writer Stewart for their stance on they/them pronouns. Now, both Dineva and Stewart have made previous comments expressing frustration about non-binary people making it harder for people to understand the LGBT community due to the use of they/them pronouns. The long-time pronoun debate has ultimately caused some within our community to want to separate from the new language around gender. Now, we already know what Dineva expressed. But yeah, as I said before, Stewart has previously said that he'd rather call the person who identifies as non-binary by their name instead of using they/them pronouns. And he said that because it could be at times grammatically incorrect, and he doesn't want to, I guess, make that mistake or whatever. But so let me just play what she had to say, and then we'll come back and talk.
Shook a little table, got the girls a little upset when I was calling out your performative activism, because you want to speak up whenever somebody has wronged you in the LGBT community. Craig, people want to be selective with their outrage. I saw folks was outraged. Tamar is thinking that she's, at a gay function, and, girl, this and that, and she's saying the things or whatever. And they wanted to use that moment, I think, to make an example out of Tamar, and got really heated. But my thing is, girl, sit your ass down. You the same person talking about how confused you are to use they/them pronouns. Sit down.
Okay, so I'm gonna just leave it there because then I have the full clip of Angelica breaking it down. So I told her it's a whole thing. And so then her and Craig was going back and forth on social media. Well, I think he posted something in the comments, whatever the case was. Then Maddie, and I think you can find it on her YouTube page. I mean, not YouTube, on her Instagram. I'm not gonna play the whole thing because they went on for like an hour, and I was dragging it. So I need, like, when it comes to things, I ain't got time to be playing the whole thing. Y'all can go watch the full thing. But Angelica did clip because someone sent it to her and she posted it on her show. So we're gonna play her version because she sums it all up better anyway. So yeah, Craig was in the comments. Maddie got offended with somebody. Oh, y'all talking about you? Who you gonna check? Who gonna check me, boo? Like she had one of those charade moments from the housewives. Like, who gonna check me, boo? In that whole situation, it was a misinterpretation. Angelica said that she and Maddie did talk privately over the phone, and they worked it out. But she had a lot of smoke for Craig, and this is what I don't understand with Craig. So you got all this smoke for Hope Giselle and Angelica Ross when they checking you over this they them pronoun situation. But the second that Tamar Braxton read you down to the floor, like you had your titties out, and also calling you girl, but you getting offended because that's not your friend, but you have no problem when your friends call you girl, which is understandable. So you get mad when they call you the wrong pronoun because she's not your friend, and you feel like it's some fag hag who's got a little too comfortable. So you give the fag hag a little more grace than someone within your own community. And this is a problem that I have with a lot of these faggots and butch queens in our community, where y'all will give more grace to the cisgendered straight woman who will consistently disrespect you over the trans girl or the people within your own damn community. Hence the same issue I always have, how a lot of you homosexuals will support a straight pop star who low-key hate y'all asses behind the scenes, but sit up here and talk about LGBT, I love the gays every second because y'all got the money. But when it come down to it, they would spit on your behind if you was on fire. So I do have that clip. We can take a gander over to the YouTube and we'll play Angelica speaking on it. Please hold.
First, I want to address something important because after I had posted my reel and shared my thoughts about, the Craig and Tamar Braxton situation, T.S. Madison posted a video tagging me, thinking that I was kind of including her and coming for her. But let me tell you, Madison and I got on the phone. We had a real conversation, sister to sister. We listened to each other. We cleared up whatever misunderstandings there were. And we both agreed to communicate more moving forward, and understanding that when we don't communicate, there's less room for, misunderstanding and for people to spin drama between us. And I think that's growth. That's what community looks like. But now let's talk about Craig. So I got a clip here that one of my followers sent me showing exactly why his response is not just missing the point, but it's actively harming our community. So let me play this clip for you real quick.
Oh wait, hold on, because I gotta fast forward because she apparently didn't. What happened was she apparently didn't have the clip, so she had to go and pull it from her phone. And oh wait, then the clip she showed cut off half his head. So I guess what we'll do is we'll play up to that part and then we'll come back because I had to fast forward it. Hold on. Glad I watched that video earlier so I know how to put it.
Okay, here it is.
What I said was, then, now, and forevermore is I respect non-binary people.
A few moments later.
I'm not going to use them or they. I'm still not going to use it.
Well, I am.
And that's fine.
I am.
I'm going to use a person's name.
I am. I'm going to use they because they and them is not hard.
It's not.
I don't give a what you
It's
say.
not hard.
It's not. They and them is not hard, Craig.
It's not hard and it's not confusing. But what I'm not going to be is accused of misgendering. So I'm going to use your name.
Okay, great.
And Hope, Angelica, neither one of you can force me to buy into your politics. You cannot. And I'm not interested in jumping on every new thing that the queer community comes up with. I'm not. And if
Okay, so yeah, I gotta pause that there. And to me, it feels like it was more about his ego than anything. When you're saying, well, it's not hard for me to say, and he openly admitted it. And I think TS came to the conclusion what she said is because Angelica and Maddie had a conversation. But I'm wondering if that was like after this video that she called her up and had this conversation. Because I'm trying to wonder what the timeline is on that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The reality is the fact that Craig was like, I think he was in his feelings. It was more about his ego. So you're willing to, like I said before, you're willing to give Tamar grace. You wouldn't read her down to the floor, which all the gays wanted you to do because she was disrespecting you. And they wanted you to check that chick who has made a whole career out of, you know, using a lot of our lingo and a lot of the things that we do and then popularize it and made money off of. But you don't have that. But you got smoke for the trans girls. So it just goes to show the blatant disrespect. He even made a comment about, oh yeah, I've been not on here, but I think it was something else. I don't remember where it was, but I do remember he was saying, oh, I've been in this space doing things. I didn't just become famous on the TS Master. Yeah, I got a bigger platform because I'm on her show, but I was doing all this other stuff probably when you was in the military going by your original gender. He did kind of play into that thing too. So when Angelica was her, her former gender, and in the arm, and I don't remember what part of the military she was in, but I do remember hearing that she was. I was out here writing all my books and doing all this other stuff. So that attitude with the overall pretentiousness that he comes up with because he's Ivy League educated, which funnily enough, Angelica can battle his ass in that because she said on this episode, she was like, I've been in the room with Obama. I've had conversations with Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi and Kamala Harris about trans issues and those things that affect the community. And I'm gonna tell you why she went and why I brought that up, because there was something that apparently Craig got time. Because a friend of mine, a source, went and sent me a screenshot of something that he wrote. Because he said, I'm not going to go back and forth. But yet and still, every time he see a video about his ass, he writing some shit online. So I'm going to play the rest of this clip and then we'll come back. And so I knew this was going to be a long one because we talking about this debate, this issue. This is not something that could be judged down into like a 10-minute situation. So let me just play what Angelica had to say because she definitely gathered his ass. Let's keep playing.
If that makes me disrespectful, then so be it.
So, so I just want to play that back one more time for the people who are just getting into the conversation. I want to play that back one more time so that we're all on the same page before I fully read into the situation. Okay. Let me go ahead and play that one more time before I fully read into this situation. Here we go. Hope you're paying attention.
What I said was then, now, and forevermore is I respect non-binary people.
A few moments later.
I'm not going to use them or them. I'm still not going to use it.
Well, I am.
And that's fine.
I am.
I'm going to use. I'm going to use a person's name.
I am. I'm going to use they because they and them is not hard.
It's not.
I don't give a what you
It's
say.
not hard.
It's not. They and them is not hard, Craig.
It's not hard and it's not confusing. But what I'm not going to be is accused of misgendering. So I'm going to use your name.
Okay, great.
And
but
Angelica, neither one of you can force me to buy into your politics. You cannot. And I'm not interested in jumping on every new thing that the queer community comes up with. I'm not.
Question before I get back to this. Since when is gender identity, they, them, pronouns, that sort of thing, when was that ever political? I could have sworn that that's just a way of life. If you're an LGBTQIA plus person, me being gay is not political. It's just a part of who I am. Me being transgender is part of who I am. It's not political. Me being non-binary is a part of who I am. It's not political. You being a butch queen sitting in your bed with your titties out, wearing a goddamn do-rag on your head is who you are. It's not political. So what the fuck are you talking about? I'm not going to get in your political game. Like, you sound dumb. But anyway, and you're supposed to be the Ivy League scholar, but just because, like I said, just because you got a bunch of degrees sitting up on your mantle, it don't make you smart. It makes you look smart. It don't make you smart in a whole lot of ways. But let's keep going. Let's go back.
And if that makes me disrespectful, then so be it.
Okay, so y'all heard him, right? If that makes him disrespectful, then so be it. So here's the thing. Craig says, I respect non-binary people, but then turned right around and says, I'm not using they, them pronouns. I'm just going to use your name. Respect is not just a word you toss around, baby. It's an action.
If you say you respect someone but refuse to do the bare minimum to affirm who they are, that ain't respect, baby. That's performative. That's what I've been calling out performative activism. Second, Craig says, you can't force me to buy into your politics, but let me make this clear. Pronouns are not politics, Craig. Pronouns are about acknowledging someone's humanity, their dignity, their identity. Reducing it to politics or a trend erases real people's lived experience. And when he says, I'm not interested in jumping on every new thing the queer community comes up with, well, baby, non-binary people are not some new thing. We have existed across time, across cultures, across history. This isn't a fad. This is an identity. This is life. So this is not just about a clap back. This is to clarify, because it's not just about Craig. It's about anybody who thinks that they can claim allyship while picking and choosing which parts of us they're going to acknowledge. You don't get to halfway respect us. You either show up or you don't. And that goes for you too, Funky Dineva. And as for me, I am going to be with the people for the full community. For those of us who have been erased and misunderstood or disrespected, that's the energy I want people to be bringing into every conversation, every collaboration, every situation. So that energy I was talking about that you were giving to Tamar, if you have that energy on the behalf of trans people and non-binary people, then baby, yes, gold star. But you showing by example with your own words, exhibit A, you gave me a receipt. You thought you was doing something and it handed me a receipt in the process. As I said before, sit down and maybe read a book. Maybe read a couple books. I know you're college educated, but I think you missed a couple classes on gender, identity. Yeah. Yeah, listen, I know that the pronouns are hard, but listen what I'm trying to tell you here. It's not hard to say, I will try. Is that hard? Is that hard? Is it hard to tell your friend, I will try for you? When I mess up, I'll divert to your name, but I am going to try using your pronouns. It is that simple.
Mm-hmm.
Any confusion? Craig is given very much mask for mask, and that's why he hollered, because he's a hit dog hollering. That's why he was hollering like that, because let me tell you something. He was trying to hide behind, I'm just going to call them by their name. Let me make an example for you. Let me tell you an example. My mama, when I first started transitioning, we would go to the department store and she would be slipping up saying he this and he that in front of the people. And I'm like, I don't know who she talking to. I don't know who she can't bring it to herself to say she. I'm just not going to be able to call you she. Then it was, I'm not going to be able to call you Angelica. I know you by what I named you. So all you doing, Craig, is now being a part of the chosen family who's choosing not to respect you. Now you're the chosen family who's choosing not to respect my pronouns. Because with my mama, she was like, well, okay, so instead of saying she, okay, then I'll just say Angelica now. So now she would say Angelica and say my name so she wouldn't have to say she, because it was too hard for her to say she. So she would say Angelica. But at least we got to a point where when I knew that she was trying, when she told me, you know what, I'm going to try, then I saw her going back and forth between pronoun and name, with effort, with love. I saw her trying, and that made me feel like she loved me, like she wanted to respect me, like she cared. That's all people are asking for, is to feel like you care. You care enough to learn, but you can't be bothered. You can't be bothered. So that's why sometimes you girls specifically need to get talked to a certain way until you get it. Because here's the situation. I am not obligated to give respect to anyone who does not respect me. I am not obligated to give respect to anyone who does not respect my community. So you're going to be a girl from here on out until you learn some respect, girl.
All right, so we'll just leave it there. Because I was like, she made her point. She was like, girl, I'm gonna just keep calling you girl until you learn to respect, other people. And so I get it from her standpoint. I think Craig was in his feelings about it because he was feeling like, oh, y'all don't get to come around and police what we can and cannot say and all this other stuff. Ciao, bye. But then, of course, like I told y'all before, so we can wrap this up, that he went in and also continued to comment on the situation because it said, I'm not going back and forth with nobody who helped usher this current administration in at Angelica Ross. We use fag talk incessantly to speak to our 13 to 15,000 weekly live viewers to campaign for Kamala Harris at Angelica Ross. You did the opposite. That told me everything I need to know about you. While the they, them, she's, and the Latinos for Trump were busy sounding off against fag talk, remember, we fought for your rights while Angelica Ross fought against them. Don't you ever forget that. I cannot believe this motherfucker really sat up here and fixed his mind to write this bullshit in real time. So he also said, I said I would respect non-binary people by using your name. And put your name in caps, like he Kanye. And then said, and at Hope Giselle, it was just a few short years ago that you were judging and shaming trans sex workers. We haven't forgotten. It wasn't until your views started to increase a bit that you changed your tune. We see you and the trans girls do too. Now, who's the fake activist? This is all either of you get from me. And then put up a black fist. So now all of a sudden he Mr. Umgawa Black Power by sitting up here also reading trans women and trying to act like he's a real activist. Oh, because you got on your platform and you were misinforming people? Because I didn't hear not one fucking word from your mouth. And I'm not even going to get on Maddie about this because Maddie is not really that savvy in a lot of things. The one thing that was bothering me about her, she kept saying, I'm not that smart. I'm not that smart. It's like, girl, you're intelligent in your own way. You're not there's like street smart and then there's book smart. There's people who are really intelligent and picking up things, but they don't articulate it in a way of like some scholar or whatever the case is. But I ain't hear not one of y'all up in here talking about Palestine and the things that was going on with that. So you sitting up here talking about what we were supposed to vote for Kamala because she's a brown woman? Like that's not the only reason why I'm voting for somebody. There was issues that was going on with Palestine and all this other stuff. I didn't think that Trump was going to do a better job. Anything, the shit out my ass would have been a better president than Trump. But for the most part, people were like, no, we're not going to be voting for. And I don't even think vice presidents have ever been a person that have successfully succeeded the president. Al Gore tried running for president one time, remember? Did he win? No. Kamala Harris was a vice president. She ran for president. She didn't win. And people felt that they were getting Biden number 2. So this is the Democrats' fault. That y'all didn't have a primary. Y'all didn't want to put up other voices. Biden thought, oh, I beat him once, I could beat him again. So we're gonna have 2 dementia victims going head to head with each other. So they picked the worst of the worst, and they ended up picking the orange turd. Now we could sit up here and talk about stealing elections and things, which I saw videos of Trump admitting that numerous times already. He's admitted it 3 times, so, and nobody's checking the gates. And she even said, I'm not gonna contest or whatever. It's the same thing of Democrats, per usual, sitting on their hands and allowing the destroying of our democracy. Well, we have to play dead and we gotta play possum, and then they're gonna do so bad that people are gonna get so frustrated and they're just gonna vote Democrat while we do nothing. Like, this is what our current administration is. And then kind of find out there was a story that came out that the Democrats lied. They said they had a whole plan they were trying to plan on a ceasefire with Israel. There was never a ceasefire in place. And how could they when we have corporate Democrats taking money from AIPAC? So when you have people like Biden and other corporate Democrats, especially Cory Booker, don't even get me started on him, and Hakeem Jeffries and all of them, taking money from Israel. Trump is no better. He took money from Miriam Adelson, and I'm sure he's got other people, from Israel where it's where they've been taking money from. So that's what it's all about. So I'm sitting here talking about you. What did he say? they ushered in this current administration. Oh, because we didn't all go in lockstep and just decide to vote for Kamala Harris because people actually give a damn about people outside the United States. The whole Palestine movement. That's why you're calling the pro-Trumpers. I don't like that argument just because we don't want to go against the establishment and we're not going to vote in lockstep for bullshit and propaganda that makes us pro-Trump if you didn't vote for Kamala. Like, to me, that's just old school thinking. Since you want to talk about you are old school gay, then I guess, yeah, you are an old school gay in every sense of the word because you think like a fucking boomer. But then again, he is a boomer, isn't he? Oh, no, he's Gen X because he's like 40. I think he just turned 49 today. So, yeah, today's his birthday, but you had time to get on the line and continue to read Angelica down to the floor. So, yeah, at this point, it just seems like we just going to have to agree to disagree. It's just going to be an ongoing debate. Craig said that he is going to address this even further when he and Maddie get back from Fag Talk. So I don't know when that's going to be. It's probably going to be this week. But I'll definitely be keeping abreast of it as it develops. I will be watching that, and I'll bring those clips over here. And then if Angelica opts to respond, then I will bring that clip over here, and then I'll give my opinion based on what they're saying, and we'll talk about it. So I still have to say, even though this is a pretty long damn debate, what did y'all think of this story in regards to what Craig had to say? And I was with him on the whole, you know what? To make it easier, I'm gonna just call you by your name. And that's the way I thought about it in the beginning. Excuse me. But to me, it's just like, yeah, now you do some. Well, even though it's not that hard, I'm not gonna call you that anyway because I'm not gonna let them tell me what I can do. I'm not gonna let them tell me how I should respond to the they/them situation. But you had no smoke and all the grace for when Tamar disrespected your ass in New York during that live with the Fag Talk. So it just goes to show, like I said, a lot of you butch queens love putting y'all head up these cisgender women's asses because y'all want to be in close proximity to that. But when it comes to your own damn community, it's like you wouldn't even spit on their ass if they was on fire. Fuck, get out of here with all that performative activism shit. So yeah, I definitely want to hear from y'all. So let me know what your thoughts are on this story in the comments down below.